Lately, JR and I are getting such a kick out of how our black and white pets, Chance and Ethel, show such affection for each other. And I got to admit, I was inspired by these black and white pets to do these two projects as a special tribute to Valentine's Day. Let's do two awesome Valentine projects, or for any time you just want to say, I love you.
Do you know how much I love you?
For each of these projects, I'll be using these 4-inch plastic heart. We have them available on our website at ellenjgoods.com. The first thing that I like to do when I'm dealing with plastic and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to be finishing, I'm going to apply the Pentart bonding primer. I'll let that bonding primer dry for 12 to 24 hours. This is going to ensure that my paint or any other medium sticks to it. Then for my first project, I'm using air dry clay, rolling it out in a dusting of cornstarch. I want to roll it to about 1/8 of an inch thick. I'll be applying this piece to an IOD Wood Gallery blank. This Wood Gallery blank, which measures 5 by 7 inches. Once I have it rolled out to a size that's big enough, I'm going to trim away the excess and then glue that entire sheet of IOD Air Dry Clay into place. I'm using Pentart's Heavy Body Gel. I'll give it another quick roll to assure that it is adhered completely to the surface. For the next step, I'll be using IOD's Letterpress Stamp. I'm not even taking it off of the backing sheet. I'm just going to press that into that soft clay so that I get an impression from the stamps. This is one of my favorite ways to use IOD stamps to create lots of texture.
Don't you know that I would, 'cause I'm just loving this moment.
And again, I'll tidy up the sides by trimming away the excess clay.
Forever, forever.
Next, I'm going to take 1/2 of the plastic heart and snip away that little hanger part. I'll also roll out more IOD clay to about 1/8 inch thickness. I want to roll out a piece that's going to be large enough to cover the entire surface of the heart. So I'll check the measurements, re-roll if necessary, and make sure that that is all pressed into shape. Then I'll trim away the excess with my X-Acto knife.
I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking.
Here's a great tip. I am using that Pentart Heavy Body Gel to apply that to the surface of the plastic heart. The Heavy Body Gel, for some reason, is going to adhere that clay and allow it to dry with very minimal, if any, cracking of the clay. Once the clay is glued into place, I'll use my X-Acto knife to trim away any excess.
Everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up when I dance around.
I'm pulling out another IOD stamp to create some impressed texture into the clay. This is the Veranda Stamp. And here you see I'm positioning it and then gently pressing into that soft clay.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know?
In order to finish off that trellis pattern around the outside curved edges of the heart, I'm using one of the smaller little strips of trellis and pressing that in place, just following the pattern that I have already established.
'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever.
I'll also add one of the little lock molds from the IOD Lock and Key mold. And then I'll set it all aside to dry completely. I let this clay dry overnight, and then when it was completely dry, I gave it a coat of Fusiom's cast iron paint. Then I'll set that aside to dry completely. Next, I'll apply a coat of Fusiom mineral paint in Casement over the entire surface of that wood panel and the clay that has dried. Then allow that paint to dry completely. You'll find a list of all the products that I've used today for these two heart projects in the description box below. Once that paint has completely dried, I'm going to give it a top coat of Fusiom's Tough Coat in a matte finish. This is so that I can very easily apply the glaze in the next step and make it easy to wipe away. So I'm using the Pentart Antiquing Gel in the color black and applying a coat of that over the surface of that clay, then wiping away the excess with a baby wipe. You'll want to be able to leave some of that black in the impressions of the stamp and show off all of that beautiful detail.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight.
You can always come back and add a second application of the glaze so that you get the effect that you want. And then when you're satisfied, I went over this with just a dry paper towel. I kind of patted it so that I removed the excess between the letters without getting any wet baby wipe into those little details of the letters. Here I'm painting the edges of this piece with Fusiom's brushed steel paint.
Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden.
Now I'm going to use some metallic paints to build up some layers on that heart. I'm using a little makeup sponge applicator and tapping off any excess before I start to apply it to the heart. You can see that I am avoiding getting that sponge into the details of the trellis stamp, allowing the cast iron paint to retain its color in the details of the recesses caused by the stamp impression. After a couple coats of the brushed steel, I'm trying for the first time Paint Couture's metallic bronze. Paint Couture was kind enough to send me some products to try out, and I've got to say, I really love this metallic paint. So I've applied that randomly over the surface of the heart, and now I'm using Pentart's metallic silver wax for some additional highlight. Next, I'm going to apply this heart to the wood panel with Titebond Quick and Thick, and I'm also adding a couple little dabs of hot glue so that it holds everything in place while it dries. I'm using the same glue and hot glue on this vintage key to apply that above the heart.
Shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say
Then clean up any excess glue with a Q-tip. I'm going to go ahead and prepare some IOD Air Dry Clay for the next heart. This time I'm leaving the little hanger intact, but I'll do the same process of shaping that clay around the heart and then gluing it in place and removing the excess.
if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone?
To create the stamped impression on this heart, I'll use the IOD stamp called Alphabellies. It's that beautiful little brocade pattern that I'll just impress into the soft clay over the entire surface of the heart.
Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy.
Once I have stamped into the clay, I remove the excess back to that little ridge that is along the edge of the plastic heart. I'm also using a Q-tip to clean up any excess of the heavy body gel. I just want to make sure that the other half of the heart is going to fit onto this clay covered piece. After the clay has dried completely, I'm going to give this a coat of Fusion's cast iron paint. And once again, when the paint is dry, I'll apply a coat of Fusion's matte tough coat and let that dry completely. Once that top coat has dried, I will be using the Pentart Antiquing Gel in white, and once again apply that over the entire surface, making sure that I get into all the detail of those stamped impressions, then wipe away the excess with baby wipes.
You fill my head with roses. I can't help but dream away, standing on a field with you and flowers everywhere. Maybe there is
Next, I'm tracing the other half of the heart onto probably about a 1/16 of an inch of a cardboard or chipboard. This was just packaging that came between layers of a product. Then go ahead and cut out that heart shape and continue to trim it until it fits inside the heart. You'll want to test and trim and test again until the clear portion of the heart fits over the chipboard and onto the clay covered portion of the heart.
is a star with your name. One thing I know is that there should be. There is no one who has a heart as pure, no, not like yours.
Here I've painted both sides of the chipboard with white paint and let it dry. I'm using this column bore rice paper and water cutting it so that I can decoupage those cupids and flowers onto that cardboard heart.
Dreaming of you, dreaming of you, dreaming of you.
After I've decoupaged the rice paper in place, I allow that to dry completely, then trim away the excess with my scissors.
Dreaming of you. What if the world had more of your smile?
Here I'm painting that inside edge of the clay, and when that has dried completely, I'll be able to pop that decoupaged heart in there and apply the clear portion of the heart on top and snap it into place. Next, I'm going to trim around the entire outside edge of the heart where the two pieces come together with this bit of shiny pink tinsel garland that I had in my stash.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars.
For the next little bit of detail, I'm stringing some of my Tim Holtz little charms onto a piece of wire and then twist the wire together. We're going to add this to the ribbon detail in just a second. I'm threading some of our custom dyed ribbon through that little hanger and creating a hanging loop. Then I'm going to go ahead and also tie some into a bow after threading those little charms onto the ribbon. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here today at L&J Goods. We so appreciate that you choose to spend these few minutes with us, and always appreciate when you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the notification bell. Leave us a comment. What do you think of these two projects? And don't forget to join us live twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays, where we also do complete projects here on YouTube. I absolutely adore the way that these hearts turned out. I think they are charming and creative and are a beautiful way to express your love. L&J Goods is a brick and mortar shop in Medina, New York, and you can also find us at lnjgoods.com.